And Happy New Year. Welcome to the Coalition of African American Parents January meeting. I am Alyssa Taylor Stewart, Administrator in the Office of Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships, and I am so grateful that you are joining us tonight. Just want to remind you of our coalition staff. Dr. Lucy Salazar is the Director of the Office of Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships. Her information is there. Marilyn King is our wonderful Senior Office Assistant. Her information is there. And then I am Alyssa Taylor Stewart. I'm the Administrator for Equity, Engagement, and Partnerships and the Coordinator for the Coalition. I just want you to know that starting tonight, our coalition meetings will be accessible live through two modes. Zoom, which is the typical way that we've been engaging during the pandemic. And then also we'll be using the LBUSD YouTube app, okay, YouTube station. This will give more parents and guardians an opportunity to engage with the presentations. The YouTube link will be active all year. So for folks who aren't here with us tonight, please share the link with them so they can watch it at their leisure. Thank you so much. So we have a full agenda. Let's just kind of go over what we're going to be talking about. We're going to review our purpose. We're going to have a welcome by one of our board members in a moment in Black history, a few announcements, and then on with our presentations. We have a full agenda tonight, some wonderful presentations. Kimberly Dalton from Human Resources, the Director of Human Resources, will be sharing some information about the uniform complaint procedures. Samantha Flores will be with us from Long Beach City College, and she'll be talking about dual enrollment programs. And then our very own LBUSD grad, Jared Grimes from Bridge Builders Foundation, will be sharing some information about financial literacy. So we are really in for a treat tonight. Before we move on with the program and with the meeting, I should say, let's review our purpose. It's always good to reconnect to your why. So we're going to talk about our purpose. Through the partnerships between Long Beach Unified School District and the Coalition of Involved African American Parents, we center the unique needs of African American students. We strongly believe that parents, guardians, and caregivers play an essential role in helping students attain success in school. And as partners, we endeavor to work together to make certain that all children meet high academic standards. We strive to provide parents, guardians, and caregivers with the information, tools, and skills that will empower them to elevate academic achievement and center social, emotional well-being in their home, school, and community. I know that's a lot, but we'll continue to revisit our purpose so we can stay on the pathway of lifting up Black students and striving for academic excellence. I have a very special person to welcome you, to introduce you to, Erica Field. She is one of our CAP Coalition Board members, and she has some special information to share with you. Welcome, Erica. You are muted, Erica. If you can unmute your mic, thank you.
I'm here. Can you all hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first Coalition of Informed African American Parents meeting of 2022. As we continue to navigate through unprecedented times, I would like you all to continue having hope, faith, and love in your hearts and minds. As parents of African American children within the Long Beach Unified School District, we are charged to be the example that our children will carry forward. For tonight's welcome, I came across an amazing poem written by an amazing young African American that I like to read, and it is titled The Miracle of Mourning by Amanda Gorman. I thought I'd awaken to a world in mourning, heavy clouds crowding, a society storming. But there's something different on this golden morning, something magical in the sunlight, wide and warming. I see a dad with a stroller taking a jog. Across the street, a bright-eyed girl chases her dog. A grandma on a porch fingers her rosaries. She grins as her young neighbor brings her groceries. While we might feel small, separate, and all alone, our people have never been more closely tethered. The question isn't if we will weather this unknown, but how we will weather this unknown together. So, on this meaningful morn, we mourn and we mend. Like light, we can't be broken, even when we bend. But how we will weather this, like light, we can't be broken, even when we bend. As one, we will defeat both despair and disease. We stand with healthcare heroes and all employees, with families, libraries, schools, waiters, artists, businesses, restaurants, and hospitals hit hardest. We ignite not in the light, but in lack thereof. For it is in loss that we truly learn to love. In this chaos, we will discover clarity. In suffering, we must find solidarity. For it's our grief that gives us gratitude, shows us how to find hope if we ever lose it. So ensure that this ache wasn't endured in vain. Do not ignore the pain. Give it purpose. Use it. Read children's books. Dance alone to DJ music. Know that this distance will make our hearts grow fonder. From a wave of woes, our world will emerge stronger. We'll observe how the burdens braved by humankind are also the moments that make us humans kind. Let every dawn find us courageous, brought closer, heeding the light before the fight is over. When this ends, we'll smile sweetly, finally seeing. In testing times, we became the best of beings. Happy New Year to you all, and let's focus on becoming our best selves one day at a time, because our babies are watching. And with that, I'd like to move on to a moment in Black history. And for this month, our moment in Black history highlights Reverend Thurston Lomax. Thurston Grant Lomax was born January 7th, 1913 in Ocean City, New Jersey, to Preston and Estelle Lomax. He was the oldest of four siblings. Following the death of his father, 14-year-old Thurston moved with his mother and siblings to Los Angeles in 1927. They followed their family minister, Reverend Grant Harris, who had left his church in Ocean City for greener pastures in the West. Reverend Harris and his wife had no children and quickly took in the Lomax children while their mother worked as a private maid. Reverend Harris became minister of the Zion Hill Baptist Church in Los Angeles and took Lomax under his wing. But in 1936, Lomax became the assistant minister at Zion Hill. In February of 1939, Lomax went on to take over the ministerial duties of the Second Baptist Church in what was called the Negro District, which is what we call now Central Long Beach today. The church, originally founded in 1903, had relocated from 10th and Atlantic in 1912 to its permanent home on New York Street and the corner of Martin Luther King. The Second Baptist Church and Grant AME, which was established later, became the focal points of the Long Beach African American community. Within 1 year as pastor, nearly 100 new members had joined the church. Debt had been reduced by 65%. A choir had been organized, and the parsonage had been completely renovated. By July of 1940, the church was able to celebrate paying off the debt of the mortgage. Unfortunately, by October of 1941, Reverend Lomax had to take a leave of absence due to battling tuberculosis. He died on December 6th of 1941, just only 28 years old. Nearly 1 year later, Second Baptist Church was dedicated to the memory of Reverend Lomax, a man who accomplished so much in so little time. This is brought to you today because my great-grandparents attended Second Baptist Church prior to being permanent members of New Hope, just down the street. And in speaking with my grandmother about Reverend Lomax, She could recall hearing her parents lovingly speak about the trailblazing he did and how much work he did for the Black community. Currently, this church resides at 1471 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in New York Street and has been officially named Christ Second Baptist Church. And that is our moment in Black history. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Erica, for those beautiful words of hope and healing from the amazing Miss Amanda Gorman. And thank you for sharing this information about Reverend Thurston Lomax. It's amazing. He's such a young man and what he did for the city of Long Beach and the Black community. Just thank you for sharing. I didn't know. So many of us probably were informed tonight. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we have a few announcements to make, important announcements. I want to keep everybody informed about the things that are coming on the horizon. On the 25th of January, we will have our virtual education celebration, and you can access the Ed Celebration via the district website. And this is an opportunity for you to learn about the schools in Long Beach and learn the programs that they offer. And for parents of fifth graders, this is an opportunity for you to really learn a lot about the middle schools and decide what middle school you want your child to go to. Then on the 25th of January and the 1st of February, Parent University will have back-to-back workshops highlighting our Long Beach nonprofit organizations. And the reason why we decided to do this is because we have so many resources and supports available in the Long Beach community that I'm sure many of us don't know about. So I'm hoping that you'll join us to learn about these wonderful nonprofit organizations and the resources and supports they have to offer you and your family. And then I'm going to move my little view panel. On the 8th, we have Parent Connection with Dr. Jill Baker. This is a relatively new parent engagement group. I think we've had 4, this might be our 4th session. So please come out and join all of us and Dr. Baker and hear what she has to say on that night. And Justin Grayson will be there and many other folks will be there to share information about the wonderful, wonderful things that are going on in Long Beach Unified. And also on the 15th of February, the coalition is going to be sponsoring an HBCU discussion panel. So let me just tell you something. I attended an HBCU, my daughter attended one, and many, many folks in Long Beach Unified School District staff, teachers, administrators, student graduates attended historically Black colleges and universities. And one thing I have found out is that many of our students here on the West Coast don't know about HBCUs as much because most of them are on the East Coast or Southeast. There are a few in Texas as well. So on this day, the 15th, we're going to have some graduates, some current staff members from the district talking about their experiences at HBCUs. I could go on and talk about South Carolina State right about now, but I'll hold that for the 15th. But I just want our students to have knowledge, more knowledge about HBCUs and to be able to have a strong consideration of an HBCU as one of their college choices when they're ready to decide. So please join us on that day. All of these opportunities, all of these engagement events will be virtual. You will be getting links, receiving links. If ever you're missing anything or don't get a link or you have a question, please feel free to reach out to me directly and I promise to get the information to you. I know that I have recently sent out 2 important pieces of information regarding student celebrations for Black History Month. I'm going to share the first one. The first one is the Black History Month Student Celebration. The application deadline is on the 20th, which is right around the corner. I think it's Thursday. But if you need a little more time, just email me and let me know. The video submission is not until the end of January, right? The 31st. So you have some time. And then the actual performance dates when we're going to launch the video on YouTube will be on the 7th of February. The Black History Month Student Celebration is an opportunity for our students to share their gifts, their talents, to talk about someone in Black history that they recognize, that they want to share. We have some students that might want to dance or do a spoken word. This just is an opportunity to center Black joy, center the greatness of the Black community, highlight our wonderful students in Long Beach Unified School District and give them an opportunity to be their beautiful, wonderful, excellent selves. So please encourage your students to participate in the Black History Month Student Celebration. Again, I've sent out the links for the dates and the guidelines and the video submissions and all that. But if you didn't get it, or if you want it again, or you need more information, or need more clarity, please just reach out to me and I'll make sure you get that. And now Erica's going to talk to us about the Living Museum.
Hi, everyone. So the Living Museum is coming back again this year on a virtual platform. And so I just wanted to tell you all a little bit about what the Living Museum is. The Living Museum is where all participants are able to pick someone of African American descent and fully embody who they are. They take a chance to become the person that they are featuring. And what happens is they research on that individual, they dress up as that individual, speak as if they were that person, and tell their story as an autobiography. So for example, my son participated in the Living Museum and he was a Tuskegee Airman. And he was able to just fully embody and give everyone who came out to see who he was through dress, through speech. And it's just a wonderful event. This year is going to be virtual again due to COVID. So submissions deadline for the video is February 14th, but you must apply no later than January 31st. And then we'll have a performance date that will launch virtually on February 21st. So if you didn't get the link already, look out for it. I'm sure we're going to send it out again so everyone has an opportunity to really show their talents for the Black History Month celebration, as well as embodying someone for the Living Museum. So we welcome all submissions and we're so excited to bring it to you again.
Thank you so much, Erica. And I just want to mention, the application is not like an application like to be accepted or denied. It's just to share information about who your student is, contact information, and what talent or what their art will be, or their gift will be, or who they will portray in the Living Museum. Just for us to have the information ahead of time. So all of our students are welcome to participate. This is definitely all is welcome type of event. So we encourage you to encourage your children to participate. This is a fun time. And yes, it is Black History Month, but you know, we want to celebrate Black history every month, every day, right? But this is a special time for us to get together, celebrate, acknowledge, learn, and just center Black joy. So please consider participating and having your children participate. Okay, we're almost ready for the presentations. I just want to share and encourage you all to please engage with the presentations by asking questions, sharing your comments, and so forth in the link available in the YouTube video frame and also in the Google chat. We have a lot of information that's going to be shared tonight, and if we don't get to your questions, I promise you we will reach directly out to you within the next couple of days. If you want us to reach out to you, please be mindful of sharing your contact information, your email, your phone number, so one of our presenters or someone from our office will be able to connect with you. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Kimberly Dalton. She is the Director of Human Resources for Long Beach Unified School District, and she's going to share some very, very important information about the uniform complaint procedures. Thank you for being here, Ms. Dalton.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here and to see all of you today. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. So I'm going to be talking about the uniform complaint process, the procedures, and a uniform complaint just means that the procedures are the same throughout the state of California because it's mandated by law, the types of things that we need to do as a part of our investigation. So uniform complaint just means that throughout the state of California, no matter what district you're in, the same process and procedures are being followed to make sure that we have a high standard of investigating concerns that come to us. And when we talk about the uniform complaint process, we usually call it UCP because uniform complaint process is a pretty big mouthful. It's really four main areas that we're looking at: discrimination, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. But under the uniform complaint process, it's taking those four areas and then looking to see, is there a connection to a protected class? So for example, you can see on the right there, it says our non-discrimination statement based on the student's actual or perceived race, color, ancestry, nationality, and it goes on to all the protected classes. So when we're looking to see if this is a UCP complaint, we would look to see, is it discrimination based on their immigration status? Is it discrimination based on their sexual orientation? Is it discrimination that's being alleged based on their ethnicity or their race? And so when we look at the complaint, we're looking to see that there's a connection, not just with something being discriminatory or harassing or intimidating or bullying, but there's a connection to a protected class. And you can see if there it says actual or perceived. So, someone may be perceived to be of a certain race or of a certain gender identity or a certain sexual orientation. That may not be how they perceive themselves, but someone could still discriminate, harass, or intimidate or bully them based on their perception. And then in addition to this, it includes complaints that fall under Title IX, which also are part of sexual harassment, but it can also be sexual violence, things that fall based on gender. So whenever I receive a complaint in my office, that's what I'm looking for, to see if there's that connection to a protected class. And then also under UCP, because the uniform complaint process is a California process based on our non-discrimination statement in California, but California also has funds that they give out for different areas. So we can see the different areas where there's categorical funding for different things within our system. And so, for example, after school education and safety. So the state of California is giving money for those things for the district. So if there's a complaint about those programs, that would also fall under UCP. So if there was a complaint that students weren't getting their PE instructional minutes in elementary school, then that complaint would come to us. Or pupil fees is one that we sometimes get if there's a perception or feeling that the school is requiring you to purchase something that is part of the curriculum. So we might get a complaint about that. And so then we investigate and we look into that to see if a fee was charged. So those are the different categorical areas that also fall under the UCP. And so you can see, just as I talked about before, those complaints that are regarding discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or bullying on the basis of a person's actual or perceived class, and that includes sexual harassment, those pupil fees, or violation of a certain program. For example, in foster care, if a student moves from one foster family to another, they might change districts. And or if we have students coming out of juvenile court or juvenile hall and coming back into the school system, we need to make sure that they get to take their credits, what they've earned with them, even if it's for just a portion of a semester, so that they're not falling behind. So as part of the law, they have to take their credits with them, whatever they earn, so that they don't fall behind in their next district. So those are things that might come as a complaint if someone didn't get their credits to come with them, and we can look into that and help resolve it. So just a question just to think about based on what I've said so far, just in your own mind. So what's not investigated under UCP? Bullying, graduation requirements, discrimination, pupil fees. So just think to yourself which one you think it is. And that answer is graduation requirements. There may be a complaint about graduation requirements. With the pandemic, some of our students may have fallen behind. They may not have earned a credit or something, because of missing class or what have you. And those are serious concerns, and we want to address them as a district. And you would most likely talk to your school site, you would talk to the high school office if needed, but it doesn't fall under the uniform complaint process. Graduation requirement is just not under that particular process. So other things that aren't under there are things like which teacher your student is assigned to or which classes they get, grades, discipline, retention determinations. Again, those are all very important things and they need to be addressed if you have a concern. They just don't fall under the UCP process. Also, personnel complaints. So if you have a concern regarding an employee at the school site and something that happened, that doesn't fall under UCP. There's a different complaint process for personnel complaints. And then allegations of child abuse, those get referred to the Child Protective Services, DCFS. And if there's allegations of fraud or mismanaging money, of course, the district wants to know that. We want to investigate that. It just doesn't fall under UCP. So there are different processes to resolve complaints. And so there might just be another pathway other than UCP. And so whenever we get a complaint, our goal is to resolve it promptly and within the closest circle of contact. So what that means is if something's happening at the school site that you feel is, perhaps you feel like your child is being bullied, we would want that first to be addressed at the school site. Because the school site is the closest in that circle of contact. They know the students there, they know the situations, they can do a very quick investigation to find out what's going on. And also it helps build trust when we have a concern that we can bring it and it can be resolved. That's what we would like to see. Then if you've worked on it with the principal or the AP or the counselor and it's just not getting resolved to your satisfaction, then the next step would be to go up to the level office. And that would be the elementary office, the middle school K-8 office, or the high school office. And again, it's sharing what your concern is, why you feel it hasn't been resolved, and working with them. And then the final process is the district UCP. Now, can a UCP just be filed directly? Of course it can. But UCP has a 60-day window when it comes to my office. And that's a long time. And that's because I have to hire outside investigators to go out. And, they have to make opportunities to meet with the parents, with different students, with different staff members. And it's a lot of scheduling and then coming back and maybe having additional questions and having to go back out to the site. So it's just a much more involved process. It takes a longer time. And so that we want things to be resolved promptly. And that's why we say always first go to the site. And if you talk to the counselor and it didn't get resolved, then please talk to the assistant principal or the principal. Don't feel like you can't bring that complaint up to another person at the school if it's not being resolved. And I just want to say where it says site/office. So perhaps the complaint is something regarding special education. You can also always talk to the special ed educators at the site and the case carrier. Again, the principal, you can talk to the special ed department. So there are just different pathways to go to resolve your complaint. And our goal is always to resolve it as quickly as possible. So here's a question for you just to be thinking about in your head. Complaints must be turned in on district forms to be investigated. True or false? False. Complaints for UCP don't have to be on a specific form, but they do need to be submitted in writing. Before, it used to be that you had to submit it in writing and actually have a signature on it, but that has changed, and now it's just anything in writing. So it could be an email as well, just expressing your concerns. So that could be an email to the counselor, to the principal, to the high school office, to my office, but we also do have specific forms. You can get them at any school site. They're also on the website under UCP, or Uniform Complaint Procedures. So you can always get the form to fill out if you like. It might help you because it will remind you, okay, I'm saying bullying is based on this characteristic. So you're welcome to do that, but you can also just send a short email to the staff, or you could write a note and drop it off in the office. It just does need to be in writing. And so first is writing that complaint to the school site and just letting them know what the problem is, and they can contact you about your concern. And then if it didn't get resolved, you can share that email that you sent previously just with the different level offices, and just say, hey, this was my concern. Here's a letter I shared and it didn't get resolved, and I'm still ongoing. I think I still need help, and they'll help you out. Or you can send it to me and it will look to see if it falls within the UCP, and we will assign investigators. And often if I do get a UCP, I will ask, have you already talked to the school site? Have you tried to resolve it at that level? Because we want, again, to try to resolve it as quickly as possible. And we have policies related to UCP. If you go on the district website under the A to Z index and just click on B for board policies, there's a whole bunch of policies in our district that our board has adopted for a variety of things. So some of the board policies related to UCP are the Uniform Complaint Procedures. We have non-discrimination and harassment policy, sexual harassment policy, and bullying. And we look at all of those when we do our investigation to look at what the definitions of different words are, what the criteria is to meet it, because sometimes something can be happening that's inappropriate behavior that needs to be dealt with, but it may not rise to the level of bullying or sexual harassment. But again, the behavior is not appropriate, and we do need to make sure that it improves and changes, but it may not reach that threshold of the definitions of bullying, sexual harassment, or harassment. And we want to have a positive climate for parents and family members to report concerns and complaints. So we encourage you to raise concerns at the school site and as needed at the district level. Let us know when you have a concern or a problem so that we can work with you to resolve that issue as quickly as possible. And just to be proactive and preventive, we've had student training this year. We know our students had been away from school for over a year, and we're just not used to that, being back in school and around other students and all the routines and procedures. So at the beginning of the year, the school district started off with Smart Restart lessons at all the different grade levels. And some of those lessons include information on sexual harassment, bullying, non-discrimination, how to report bullying. So those things were shared with the students, and hopefully they will be refreshed as we head into this new year at each of the sites. And then our staff also received professional development starting even over the summer, where they did some training on sexual harassment and bullying. And they did suicide prevention, and so there's just a lot of training, as well as anti-bias training and different things that happened over the summer and into the new year. And again, our whole goal is to be proactive and preventive, to try to head off problems before they start, by setting up that positive school climate. And that's the end of my presentation about UCP. And just like we said before, you're always welcome to email me or contact me. My email is kdalton, the letter K, DALTON @lbschools.net. And my number here in the district is 562-997-8108. And if you click on the A to Z index under UCP, you'll find me there. Under Title IX, you'll find me there. Under Human Resources, you'll find me. So don't hesitate to call, even if it's just to bounce something off me or to get some maybe advisement on how to talk to the school site about a concern or question, because we do want to make sure that and we are available to help, and because we want to make our schools safe places for all of our students.
Thank you so much, Ms. Dalton, for sharing that very important information. It's always good to be informed, and we hope that our parents don't have any complaints or any issues that they have to leave the school site. But if they do, I'm glad to know that you're here to support them. And so thank you. There are no follow-up questions right now, but if we get some, I will definitely reach out to you tomorrow. And so thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. We have one question about the age limit for I think they're speaking about the Black History student celebrations, and there are no age limits. If you have a beautiful kindergartner that wants to participate, or a 12th grader that wants to participate, we're excited to have all of our students involved. And so their performance might look different. It might, the little ones might need a little extra help, but that's okay too. So no age limits, no age limits. Okay, and I want to encourage you again, please use the chat for your questions, or if you're visiting with us via the YouTube app, please use the link in the YouTube frame to share your questions. If you include your questions, if you add questions or comments, I encourage you to add your name and the contact information, or if you don't want to put your contact information in the chat, reach out to me directly. I just want to be able to connect and engage and make sure your questions are being answered. I'm really excited about this next presentation. I'm so fortunate, so blessed to meet this young lady, Samantha Flores. She's the Career Pathway Coordinator for LBCC. She and I did a run through the other day, and I learned so much about dual enrollment. I thought I knew, but I didn't know everything. So Samantha, I'm happy you're here to share with our families about the amazing things that are going on over at Long Beach City College with the dual enrollment programs, early college initiatives. Take it away, Samantha.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello, parent and guardians. My name is Samantha Flores, and I hope that you're all doing well. Today, I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight the 4 different early college opportunities that are available for your students at the Long Beach Unified School District once they onboard onto our dual enrollment programs. So one important thing to note is that all of these opportunities are available to any student with a minimum of a 2.0 GPA. So please be sure to add any questions in the chat, or also feel free to sign into our Google form to get assistance from our team as well. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and move forward to the next slide. So here are our 4 different early college opportunities that are available to both middle school and high school students. So you heard that correctly. Yes, this is available as early as middle school students. And again, this opportunity is extended to all of our students in the Long Beach Unified School District to not only enroll in college classes, but also have the opportunity to receive college credit as well. So to delve into each program, we will start with the right-hand side. So high school articulation agreements. So a little bit about this program is it is also known as credit by exam. So this is an opportunity that high school students from the Long Beach Unified School District have to receive college credit by taking an articulated high school course, which has an agreement already in place. Now, to view our current agreements in place, we recommend that you view and refer others to our website. It's lbcc.edu/early college. And to see the most current courses that have an articulation agreement in place. And as we can see, here are some of the course offerings that we have: Culinary Arts, International Business, Project Lead the Way, Computer Integrated, and more. So how the credit by examination process goes is that students listed in any of these courses are informed by their instructors and by our team that should they pass their class with a grade listed in the articulation agreement, usually in the B high C range, it will vary course by course, can move forward with an exam at the end of the school year to perhaps earn college credit. So that's the first opportunity. The second opportunity is called Early College at Browning High School. So this is a partnership between Long Beach City College and Browning High School to provide students the opportunity to take college courses in both hospitality and culinary arts within their BAL schedule. So not only can students earn high school credits towards their high school diplomas, but they can also simultaneously work towards earning a certificate or an associate's degree for transfer in hospitality. So if you have a middle schooler who is still narrowing down their options or their high school choice, then I highly recommend to check out this opportunity as well. Now, let's say that the student is not interested in culinary arts or hospitality after high school. The neat thing about this opportunity is that, and the course sequence, is that the students can apply these classes that they will take because they are general education courses, which means that they will fall under general education and can be applied to any other major. And also, this program provides the students the opportunity to jumpstart towards their careers in both hospitality and culinary arts, especially with the meaningful work-based learning opportunities offered by our workforce specialists. So that's about the early college at Browning High School opportunity. However, our main focuses are going to be on the final two programs that I will be talking about here. The first one is Early College Pathway Partnership, which is also known as Ecpp. And this is our specialized dual enrollment program, which provides 11th and 12th grade students the opportunity to take selected courses that are aligned with the high school's industry's pathways and can lead towards low unit certificates, so college level certificates. Above all, college credit, transferable college credit in general education requirements. So these courses are offered in the fall, the spring, and summer semesters. And we will delve a little more about the enrollment process in just a little bit. So some of our pathways include advanced manufacturing, art, culinary arts, health, IT, and general education. Last but not least, we have individual dual enrollment, which provides both middle school and high school students the opportunity to take any college class year-round, which includes the summer, the fall, the winter, and the spring, should they meet prerequisite requirements. Also, a student can also, if they don't see a class that's listed in the Ecpp program that they're interested in, this would be the perfect program for them to take a look into. So to go into today's agenda, here is what we'll be discussing. So first and foremost, what is dual enrollment? The differences between individual and early college pathway partnership, our enrollment steps, support services and resources, and last but not least, frequently asked questions. So what is dual enrollment? Dual enrollment is the ability for K through 12 students to enroll and register for free California community units, which means that a student can get rid of a class that otherwise they would have taken at college. So that means that they would save money and time. Other benefits include the ability to use these units towards transfer, associate's degrees, certificates, and perhaps even a graduation medallion for their high school graduations, which not only amplifies their resume, but also enhances their university applications. So some fun facts about our dual enrollment students is that they have a higher likelihood of achieving a high school diploma. They are highly likely to enroll in college and earn 2 years of free tuition. They also complete educational and professional goals faster and cheaper. And last but not least, they are more resilient because they build that skill as a dual enrolled student. They build their motivation, determination, and organization as well. So what is the difference between these two programs? Let's begin with Ecpp. So as we can see on screen here, this is the opportunity available for our 11th and 12th grade students. Now, the great thing about this program is that it provides students the opportunity to have priority enrollment and reserve seating, which means that students can, in fact, complete our application and inform us about the school or about the class that they are interested in, and we go ahead and take care of the rest. We enroll them into the course, and we inform them about the other benefits, which we'll go into in just a second. So great thing about these courses, again, they are hand-selected, and students also partake in a cohort community. So that means that they get to meet other LBUSD students who are also dual enrolled students, and they get to partake in courses that are mixed. So they'll be able to take courses along with college level students as well. And we also, as mentioned earlier, we are in charge of registering students into their courses, so they don't have to worry about registering themselves. Our team does that. Now, in terms of the guided placement and orientation, students are not required to complete a guided placement tool, which means completing a form or an exam to be able to place themselves into a college level course, because all of our courses are first level college courses. So they don't require them to take any of those exams or placement exams. Also, the general education orientation is waived, but there is an Ecpp mandatory orientation to make sure that they are best versed with our college and make sure that they are in good hands as well. Now, in terms of our support services, we do have numerous services available to them. This includes mentors who will be connecting with them on a weekly basis. This also includes volunteer-based opportunity called Ecpp Ambassador Program. They also have the opportunity to gain assistance and support from our team, and also are able to get weekly check-ins from their instructors as well to make sure that they are as successful as possible. Now, they also, by taking part of this program, the textbooks will be completely loaned to them. So they don't have to worry about purchasing those $70 to $100 textbooks. That would be completely loaned out to them, so they don't have to worry about textbooks. Also, the enrollment fees, as soon as a student graduates from high school, they will have to pay $46 a unit. So instead of having to pay those $46, we waive that for them, and the $20 health fee is also waived, which means that they don't have to pay anything out of pocket for taking any of these courses under the Ecpp program. So these are our class offerings this semester. So our courses will begin February 7th and run through June 7th, 2022. Now, students are able to sign up for up to 2 courses every semester, and they are available in many formats. So as we can see, there are courses that are available in person, hybrid, and also completely online, which means that they can complete the course at the comfort of their own home, and also whenever they have availability as well. However, one thing to note is that the sooner that the student can complete enrollment steps, which we'll go into in a little bit, the higher the chances they will have to obtain their first picks in any of these courses that are listed here. So as mentioned earlier, our pathways include Administration of Justice, Advanced Manufacturing Technology, Art, Business, and we also have this exclusive cloud computing opportunity for our 10th graders. So if a student would like to learn more about cloud computing, we highly recommend that they take a look at this course schedule as well. We also have Computer Office Studies, General Education, and Healthcare. So those are our current pathways. And now we're going to be transitioning to our other program, Individual Dual Enrollment. So before going into that, let's say that the student is not an 11th or 12th grade student, or does not see a course that they would be interested in from the previous slide. This is the perfect program for them. So again, this program is available for our middle school and 9th and 12th grade students. And enrollment is, there's no priority enrollment, which means that the student would be able to enroll themselves into the course up to the 7th of February, should there still be space available in the course. Additionally, students would have to also register themselves individually, which means that they get to select from the many courses that are available on our class syllabus, and we'll go into what those options are. Also, the guided placement tool may be required. This is typically for our English classes, mathematics, chemistry classes, sciences, and reading. And also, there is going to be a general online orientation required for students to complete, which again is to ensure that students are well suited and are aware of the many resources available on campus. The student support services available to them would be assistance from our team to ensure that they're well connected with the campus and also receive any assistance that they may need. In terms of books, they will be required to purchase their own books or rent them on their own. And the enrollment fees would be waived, which means that they would have to purchase the health fee, which is $20. Now, to take a look at the courses, similarly to Ecpp, they can take up to 2 classes per semester. And while we may have a variety of courses to pick from, as mentioned earlier, students have to meet the prerequisite requirements, which is some courses require students to complete them in a sequence. So that's what prerequisite means. So some courses might require that. And also some students may be subject to pay for their own books, like any other college student would. However, this should not deter students from exploring other options, which is why we identified 6 additional courses that have textbooks included, which is the image on the right-hand side. To take a look at our extensive list of spring 2022 courses, you can go to www.lbcc.edu and select on class schedule. Now, there are 2 steps to successfully enroll into our program. The first one is to submit an application. So as we can see here, here are the responses that students should select on their applications. Beginning for the term, we will select spring 2022, intended major to ensure that they don't pay those $46 a unit. We will select dual high school college enrollment. And then for college enrollment status, we would select enrolling in high school and college at the same time. Our application also lives on our website, lbcc.edu, under Apply Online, under Quick Links. Now, after completing an application, a letter of acceptance will be sent to the student along with their ID number for our college. And this will be emailed within 48 to 24 hours. And this will be used on the second step. So the second step is to complete a dual enrollment form. Now, this form requires basic personal information as well as course information for the course of interest. So as mentioned earlier, to get the best chances into getting into the course of choice, the earlier you complete this form and submit it to our office, the better. So it's also important to note that in this form, it requires 3 signatures. So one of them will be from the student, the other one from a parent or guardian, and the final one from a principal or counselor. So the submission process will depend on the program that the student has selected. So let's take a look at where the student would turn in this form if they are interested in our hand-selected Ecpp courses. So here, feel free to jot down this website down or scan our QR code for reference later on. And once a student is to complete their dual enrollment form, they will submit it to our Ecpp application. And once this form is completed and submitted to our team successfully, we will go ahead and process your form or the student's form within a week and enroll the student into the course. Now, if a student is partaking in individual dual enrollment, any class outside of the Ecpp list, then the student would have to submit their form to admissions and records. And again, feel free to screenshot this or also notate the link or scan the QR code to have later on. And this form can take up to a full week as well for the admissions and records office to process. And from that point forward, once the student gets notification back from admissions and records, after submitting it next to high school dual enrollment form here, then the student would have to enroll themselves into the course. However, the student is not alone. They can feel free to connect with our team so that we can go ahead and assist them. So before getting into the Q&A section, we wanted to go ahead and take a look at our website and show you all how to navigate it and also how to access our assistance. So if we go to lbcc.edu/early college, then the student can go to apply now on the lower left-hand corner, select on early college initiatives, and then go to our virtual help desk, which lives in virtual help desk is that black box on the left-hand side. And again, we are available Mondays and Thursdays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And here we have some frequently asked questions. So let's say that you are not available from 4 p.m. and on. So if you would like to get assistance off after work hours, then feel free to go onto our website as well. And these handouts will live under their respective pathways as selected here. So it could be Early College Pathway Partnership or Individual Dual Enrollment. And this is how students can get assistance from our team to be able to get more inquiries in and any other information that the student might need. And another question that might pop up is what other resources are available at Long Beach City College? So as a student, students have access to a wide range of support services. This includes learning resources such as our tutoring center, which again is completely free for our students once they become students at Long Beach City College. And just as important as grades, we also believe that physical and mental health is important. So we also have services available to them. And last but not least, they also get access to student success workshops, which focus in on college studying skills, time management, and also connecting with professors as well. And if a student needs to determine or narrow down what courses they should take, we highly recommend to connect with our counselors. And this also lives on our website. They can select on counseling appointments, and then they'll be able to connect with them directly to get support in narrowing down their courses. Now, with that in mind, I want to make sure that I spend some time to answer any questions that are submitted in the chat, and I'll leave off with our contact information as listed here. We also have social media, so feel free to connect with us on there as well, should a student have any questions as well.
Samantha, that was a lot of information and you did a great job, and thank you. Before we move on, I want to ask you to please put your email in the chat.
Yes, of course.
For folks who are in Zoom. And as I said before, if you have any questions when you leave here, you please reach out to Alyssa Taylor Stewart, eTaylor at lbschools.net, or you can use CIAAP@lbschools.net. I had a special conversation with Samantha, and I want her to share with everyone how dual enrollment impacted her and helped motivate her. Do you mind sharing that, Samantha?
Absolutely, I would not mind. So I am also just to back up a little bit, in high school, I was not a traditional student. So what that means is I wasn't the typical AP student 4.0. I managed to barely graduate from high school with a 2.0. And I was almost sent off to continuation school. And the reason why I share this is because what really turned it around for me was partaking in a dual enrollment course focused in a counseling it was a counseling course which was focused on college success. And in that course, I was able to not only learn about studying skills and what it takes to be a college student, but also motivate me because I was able, again, to turn everything around and realize that there is a purpose and there is a major out there that was a perfect fit for me, which is why I recommend all parents and guardians to give that nudge to your student. Again, a student does not have to have a 4.0 or be an AP student to partake in these opportunities. The minimum is a 2.0 GPA. I am a witness to this. I've been able to go through the process as well. So again, feel free to connect with our team so that we can best support your student. We will ensure that they're successful because again, there are many wraparound services to ensure that they are successful as possible.
Thank you, Samantha. You know, I just think this is an amazing program. I had no idea there were 4 aspects to dual enrollment, and I hope that our parents will for sure look into this and the opportunities that are available. I know when I was at Poly working in the Gear Up program, many of my students who kind of were, losing their motivation and so forth, enrolled in dual enrollment and got involved in it. And all of a sudden it was like their classes in high school, A's and B's. And I'm like, wow. So we just never know what motivates our students. So please look into this, take advantage of it. This is a wonderful partnership between LBCC and LBUSD. We do have a few questions. One of the questions was, can you re-explain the process? And I'm going to encourage, if you have some more in-depth questions, so please reach out to Samantha directly. She will, I'm sure, take some time with you and help you will help walk you through the process. But one of our parents was asking, what is the benefit in dual enrollment over like a student being in an AP class?
Yeah, so an AP class, so it's not meant to replace an AP class. It's kind of a enhancement. So a student can take both an AP class and also take a dual enrollment opportunity as well. And again, the reason why we encourage students to partake in an opportunity like dual enrollment is to not only cut time from their college experience, but also be able to save money because as we know, Ecpp, the student is able to not only cover their enrollment fees, which are $46 after they graduate from high school, but they also get loan textbooks, which is important because textbooks can run from $70 all the way to $100. They can get really expensive. So, and because that is covered for them, that's a benefit as well. And they get the mentors who check in with them on a weekly basis, which is something that college students will not necessarily get unless they reach out to get that assistance. So that is the reason why we highly recommend so that students that partake in dual enrollment. It's a great opportunity, and I challenge students to take the challenge on and try out a dual enrollment opportunity to check it out.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One more question. Do our LBUSD counselors have all this information? Would they be able to help a student enroll? I know you share the resources at LBCC, but if one of our students went to their counselor at high school or even in 8th grade, would they be able to help them with this process?
Great question. Yes. So if a student goes to their college and career center, we actually have dedicated outreach and recruitment specialists who are there to support students through the application process and also through the dual enrollment forms as well. So if a student has access to their college and career centers, feel free to take a visit, and our outreach and recruitment specialists are typically there during their lunchtime. So that's another resource that they can reach out to in addition to their counselors as well.
Thank you for that. Last question before we shift gears to our last presentation. I know when we met, I was really excited about the cloud computing class program, and you shared with me it's like a year-long program. And I think you were able to get an extension for the application. Can you share about that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So this opportunity is the dual enrollment opportunities the deadline is going to be anytime before the course starts. So the courses start February 7th. So as long as we connect before February 7th, then that would be amazing. I did share our email in the chat, earlycollege@lbcc.edu. So feel free to connect with us. We'll be more than happy to assist you all. And again, we don't have a specific deadline, but as long as it's before the 7th of February, keep in mind that the dual enrollment form is the part that takes the most time because it does require signatures from a counselor and principal, parent or guardian, and a student as well. So be mindful of that before moving on with the process. But yeah, again, we'll be here to assist.
Thank you. Thank you, Samantha. Yeah, Samantha will be a frequent flyer here with us in the coalition. So you'll see her soon again before the, I think, summer. We talked about that. So thank you for sharing this valuable information. Parents, if you have questions, please reach out directly to Samantha, reach out to me. I'll connect with her. But we want your students to be able to take advantage of these opportunities. So thank you for being with us tonight, Samantha. And we're going to move on to our next presentation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks so much. So our last presentation, definitely not our least, is going to be with Jared Grimes. And Jared Grimes is an LBUSD grad. No, he didn't graduate from Poly. He graduated from Wilson. I say that because I know that there's Poly, Millikan, Wilson. I'm not from Long Beach. I went to school in the Chicago area. So I'm not married to any of the high schools, but some of you guys will like kill over your high school. So anyway, I'm so glad to have Jared here with us tonight. I know in my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, I had the pleasure of being in one of his financial literacy presentations, and I learned a lot. And you know, I didn't pretend that I knew a lot, but I definitely went away more informed and made some different decisions. So Jared's going to share some information with us. And I'm just glad and grateful that you're here with us tonight, Jared. Take it away.
All right. Thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. Again, my name is Jared Grimes, and I am here working with the Bridge Builders Foundation. Today, we're going to cover financial literacy, how money works, and topics of basic finance. So let me go ahead and pull up the presentation right now. Perfect. All right. So yeah, we'll just hop right into it. Just a quick bio about me, right? Former Wilson grad, 2011, born and raised in the Long Beach area, always attended Long Beach Unified School District schools, went to Coverly from K through 8th. And then once I graduated from Wilson in 2011, went to Morehouse College, studied business administration, and have been working in SoCal since, and actually recently moved up to the Bay Area, where I've been working for the last few months. So enough about me. Let's talk about what we're going to discuss today. In the interest of time, we'll skip past the pre-quiz, but we're going to chat a little bit about the utility of money, balance sheet basics. Also, in the interest of time, we're going to skip credit and FICO, and then we'll jump straight to investments and compound interest, as well as real estate ownership, and we'll wrap it up with insurance as an asset. So I'm going to, hit high level a lot of the main points for the presentation. Feel free to put any questions that you have in the chat, and then I'm also going to put my contact information up at the end. So if there's any questions that come to you either during the presentation or after that you want to get over to me, I'm happy to answer those for you. All right. Perfect. So as we get into it, the utility of money, right? Why do we need it? So if you think about money, ask yourself, what is money? And if you think about like from a historical perspective, right, a lot of times it's in history, people used to trade items or barter in order to get, something of value that they wanted, right? So that could be food, water, shelter, whatever that may be, right? Now we basically, substitute money for that. So now we have money, and with money, we go ahead and buy things, that we want, that we desire, right? Some of the things that we need, like shelter. And then, when you think about it, right? So in that sense, it could be buying food, clothes, shelter, as well as sometimes maybe a little bit of an overpriced coffee, vacations, concerts, jewelry, right? All things of that nature. So just kind of want to get the mindset flowing a little bit about money and what we can do with it, right? So, let's see. Perfect. So as we're talking about money, I think really one of the first steps to taking control of kind of your financial life would be setting some goals, right? And so when we're looking at setting goals, you can really think of it, in 3 categories: short, medium, and long term. So it's going to always vary from person to person, but you can think of a short-term goal of being anywhere from 3 months to call it 2 years, right? Medium term can be anywhere from kind of 2 or even 1+ to call it 5 years, right? And then your longer term goals are going to kind of be 5+. Again, that can kind of change depending on yourself and your situation, but for this presentation, it's good to just kind of frame it in that sense. So as you see on the screen, a few short-term goals would be things like maybe you want to save up to take a vacation, you want to buy a new car. Maybe if anybody's like a recent college grad, you're looking to move out of your parents' house, right? Or buy a new apartment. All those things would be short-term goals. And one of the most important short-term goals, and we'll come back to that later, building an emergency fund. So I'll touch on that in a second. But as we go on, right, you got your medium-term goals. Could be something more, like making a down payment on a house, paying for a child's education, right? And then you have the long-term goals, having enough money to retire, right? Leaving something possibly for your beneficiaries, things of that nature. So now that we just have a quick understanding of goals and setting goals, let's go ahead and chat about one of the first steps, once you have set these goals. And that would be setting a budget. Sorry about that. My screen went down. Okay, perfect. Setting a budget. So as we think about, right, setting a budget, it's really one of the main tools that you can use to help you achieve your financial goals, right? And so I'll just go ahead and run through the steps of setting a budget, right? The first step is going to be assessing just all the money coming in. It could be a primary job, secondary job, it could be a side hustle, right? And it can even be from assets, and we'll talk about that later, right? But you really want to take a look at, okay, where's all my income coming from? And once I understand that, I can go on to the next step, right? So we understand our income. So step number 2 would be, let's take a look at our expenses. And more specifically, let's take a look at our fixed living expenses. So, fixed living expense is basically going to be, an essential expenditure, something that you need to spend money on. That's really not going to change much from month to month. So if we think about, fixed living expenses in today's world, most people's primary fixed living expense is housing costs. So either a mortgage or rent. Excuse me. So, those are the primary, right, fixed living expenses. You're going to have kind of some other things that are going to be under fixed living expenses. Could be things such as, your utility bills, student loan payments, right, transportation costs, all those things that are kind of necessary for your life will be considered fixed living expenses. One thing to note, I always tell people, right, and this is definitely something to note, I always tell people, create a savings goal and treat it like your fixed living expense. And I say that because what it does is it prioritizes your saving the same way you prioritize paying your bills. So if there's one thing you can take away from this presentation, I definitely think that's a bit of helpful advice. So once you have the first 2 steps, right, the next step is looking at your variable living expenses. So your variable living expenses, those are going to be your non-essential expenditures, typically, something that you could probably cut back on if need be. And so when we think of those things, are going to be things like subscription services. Everybody has Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, right? The subscription services, there's so many that people have these days. So just taking a look at some of those, possibly cutting back, right? Eating out, excessive, buying too many clothes and shopping, excessive traveling, right? All of those things will be variable living expenses, things that you may want, probably don't need on a day-to-day basis. But again, we really just want to take a look at all of those variable living expenses because they're going to come into play in the next step, which is step 4. So once you have your income, you understand your fixed and your variable living expenses, you simply do the math. Right? Take your income, subtract your expenses. The hope from that is that you come away with a little bit of money on the other side, right? So you should hopefully be plus, call it 200, 500 or whatever's, respectable amount of money at the end of the month. And, if it's a large number, then you can possibly think about increasing your savings goal, right? Because that means you have a little bit of extra wiggle room. If you have a negative number, right, so you did your calculations, and now you have a negative number. So really, when you talk about your income and your expenses, you're going in the negative each month. You're going to want to look at those variable living expenses and see if there's any place that you can cut back on. And it may be, you also may have to take a look at the fixed living expenses and see, is there any wiggle room in some of these fixed living expenses as well. But that's basically the formula to go ahead and create a budget. And like I said, I think it's really one of the first steps that people can use in order to just try to be, take control of their financial life. And like I said, I think it's really important for people to be informed of kind of their spending. Whether you want to necessarily change what you're doing is okay, but I think it's best to be informed of just kind of where you stand. So now that we have a budget, I just want to summarize it really quickly. So if I didn't hit on these points, let me mention them now. You definitely want to pay yourself first. And that kind of goes to my whole point about creating a savings goal and treating it like a fixed living expense. You want to try to trim your variable expenses as much as possible. And then ultimately, you want to find a balance, right? I mean, at the end of the day, there's no point in setting a goal that's so strict or so unattainable that you can't keep up with it and stay on track, for more than a few months. And I think we all also understand the importance of setting goals and sticking to a budget, because if you don't necessarily do that, you could also have some turmoil down the line. So just find that balance and, work the process. Perfect. So we understand a budget, right? We got that down. And so I'm going to take it up a notch. We're going to talk about the balance sheet of each individual person, and we're going to look at assets and liabilities. So, I always like to start with kind of this term net worth, and net worth is actually synonymous with wealth. So when we think about net worth and what that means, or what's the equation for it, it's actually pretty straightforward. Net worth is simply the assets minus liabilities, right? And so when we talk about assets, those are going to be any and everything that has economic value. And liabilities would be something, liabilities are merely what we owe. So, as you see kind of below, there's some examples of assets and liabilities. You have checkings and savings accounts for assets, right? You have real estate, investments, and all those things are going to be considered assets. Cars. Liabilities are going to be, the auto loan for the car, right? The loan for the home, credit card debt, all of those things will be considered liabilities. So as we talk about assets and liabilities, one thing to note, assets can be appreciating or depreciating, right? So, appreciating assets tend to increase in value over time. Depreciating assets tend to lose value shortly after being acquired, right? And liabilities are merely debts that you owe. So kind of one of the funny things about depreciating assets, right? Like cars are typically a depreciating asset. I'm sure, everybody's heard the phrase, once you buy a new car and take it off the lot, or any car for that matter, and take it off the lot, it's instantly worth $1,000 to $5,000 less, right? And I just find that to be pretty funny because of just the market and where we're at, we've actually seen such an increased value in cars and used cars specifically that they're no longer a depreciating asset at the moment. They're actually a real hard-earned asset that you can possibly actually make a profit off of. So I think that's pretty funny right now. I've heard a couple stories about somebody buying their lease and, for a certain X amount of dollars and selling it for, increased value and taking the cash. So I thought that was pretty funny, just what's going on currently since the pandemic started. But we'll keep moving on, and we're going to move on to, again, I think a lot of times when we talk about just financial literacy, a lot of it starts in the head. A lot of it starts with your mindset and ensuring that you have the right mindset. And so when you have the right mindset and you kind of have the right practices in place, whether you have kind of a whole lot or you have, a little, your actions are, aligned with the desire for wealth. So, with that, I really just want to go over this cash flow pattern chart. This is the first thing that you're seeing on the left side of the screen. And so when we look at just the cash flow pattern, I consider this to be, the cash flow pattern of what we'll call a wealthy person, and we'll call just, middle-class working person. And so, full transparency, I'm totally a middle-class working person. So I have nothing wrong with anybody in this category, but let's talk a little bit about the cash flow pattern of both of these people in this scenario. So as we really look on the left, we're seeing, right, the cash flow pattern. So we're seeing the cash coming from the assets for the wealthy person, and it's going, that's where the income is deriving from, right? So the wealthy person has assets, income coming from their assets. And if you look on the right, the working class person has their income coming from their job, which is totally fine. But it's going straight to liabilities. So as we just kind of look at this diagram, right? I think one of the things that we can do in our community, especially as people who are in the working class, is say, okay, I have this job. I'm getting a salary. Let's ensure that some of this salary is diverted to assets as well, right? It doesn't just go straight to liabilities. It goes to assets as well, so that we can try to grow that asset base as much as possible. And that can also generate income down the line. And so maybe we kind of slowly transform ourselves from, right, the working class person to the wealthy person, whether we still have a job or not. And so that's just one food for thought with regards to that diagram right there. And then on the far right, it really, this is just a graph from a McKinsey study, just talking about, the wealth divide in America over the years. As you can kind of see on the top, that's going to be, the median wealth of a family for a white family. And then at the bottom, the blue line is going to be the median wealth for a Black family. So as you kind of see, the Black families kind of stay a little bit stagnant over the years. And quite frankly, that's, due to some restrictions, obviously, in the United States. But nonetheless, it's also due to less asset ownership, right? So when we talk about assets and stocks, bonds, real estate, that's really what's allowed, our white counterparts to have such a increased amount of wealth. So I think for ourselves, again, it goes back to this cash flow pattern and saying, hey, let's take this salary and ensure that we're getting some assets. And by all means, we'll live as well. And it's, you got to have some liabilities in a country that's built off of debt, but let's ensure that we get some assets on the way. So now that we've talked a little bit about that, let's go into stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. So I don't know if anybody's heard of the rule of 72, but it's really a simple formula that allows you to, it's a simple formula that allows you to calculate how long it will take you to double your money, right? Excuse me. So if you think about it, you take the number 72, you divide it by the annual rate of return that you're getting, and that will tell you how long it takes to double your money. I know it's kind of wacky. But with that said, if you look at this chart here, right, you can take the number 72, divide it by annual interest rate, let's call it 7%. 72 divided by 7 equals roughly 10, right? So theoretically, if you were getting an annual rate of return of 7%, it would take you 10 years to double that money. So at 5,000, you get a 7% a year per se. In 10 years, that 5,000 would be 10,000 with, no additions and no subtractions from that actual account. So it's good to know, right? Because it allows you to just kind of project out how your money can grow. And what's important about that, right, is it really ties into just the power of compounding and, quite frankly, ensuring that we're able to possibly leave not just us, but our future generations with some, something after we leave, right? And so, again, when you're thinking about the power of compounding, you're thinking about the rule of 72, don't just think in terms of your life, think in terms of forever, because your legacy lives on. And so this graph right here is really just showing the power of compounding. If you were to take $5,000, invest it, right, and that money were to grow at a 7% annual rate of return, that $5,000, 30 years down the line, turns into $38,000, right? That if you were to leave that same amount of money for 10 more years, so a total of 40 years, that $38,000 or that $5,000 would actually be $74,000. That's substantial. That's a lot of growth. It takes a lot of time, but that's a lot of growth. And so again, just understanding this right here, it really allows people to say, okay, if I can put that amount of money away and let it set aside, for umpteenth years, I'll ensure, right, that somebody else will have something, once I leave. And so it's really key to just keep that in mind. So I also want to highlight the importance of saving early. So for anybody 18 and up, quite frankly, what you need to know is the importance of saving early. And if maybe this isn't early in your lifetime, try to pass this message along as much as possible, because it's so valuable. It's probably one of the best pieces that anybody could ever, take from a financial literacy perspective, the power and the importance of saving early. And when we say saving, let's also start, using the term, we're saving to invest. There's not always a want or a need to save to just, stockpile cash. And we'll talk about that later why. But we want to save to invest. I always say, right, I have a job, right? I go to work, I put in my hours, I'm working hard. the last thing I want my money to do is sit on the sideline and look at me doing all that work. No, you got to go to work too, right? You can't just sit on the sideline and play games. I need you working just as hard as I'm working. So again, we're wanting to save to invest. But as we look at this graph right here, right? I'll go over really quickly. We got Omar and we got Brandy. Omar, we'll call him the late saver. You know, he's working, he gets a job. Maybe he has some extra expenses, you know, some things going on. He's just not able to get to saving at an earlier stage in his career. But at age 40, he says, hey, you know, I'm going to retire one day. I want to put some money away for retirement for when I'm not going to work, right? And so he puts away $3,000 a year at age 40 till he's 65. He invests that money, right? So, you know, over time, that's 75,000. I'm sorry. That is, $75,000 saved. And over the years, that amounts to $203,000, right? So that's very impressive. Over that 25 years, he was able to grow his, you know, $3,000 a year savings up to $203,000. Very substantial. Brandy, on the other hand, she was able to just, you know, started at 25. She had maybe some less bills around her, was able to start saving at an earlier age, started saving at 25 till she got to age 65, right? Saved $120,000 total over that span. But because she started early, she was able to amass a whopping $640,000, right? Again, just saving $250 a month, $3,000 a year. And so what this really shows us is, I like to always talk about, you know, rate times time equals distance. And so if you think about it, right, if we're all starting in SoCal, Long Beach, and we're going to Vegas, the person who starts earliest can drive the slowest to get to Vegas, right? But if you start late, well, you're probably going to have to drive faster or need a higher annual rate of return in order to get to that same spot. So that's just kind of a way to think about, right, with your money as well. The earlier, the better. And so as we just talk about assets to invest in, let's just cover a couple. We all understand cash, so we know what cash is. There's also cash alternatives. So those are going to be things like money market funds and just money markets in general, and CDs. I think people are pretty familiar with some of those bank offerings. I think those are great for your emergency fund. You then have bonds. Bonds are basically an IOU to a company, right? So if a company is issuing a bond, you're actually basically like giving them $1,000. And what they'll do is at the end of the term, they'll give you back the $1,000. And in between that term, they'll give you what's called a coupon. So let's just say they'll give you $50, right? So, you know, let's just call it a 2-year bond. You give them $1,000, they'll give you $50 a year. At the end, they'll give you $1,000. So you've basically, you know, made $100 over that 2 years. That's how bonds work. And then stocks, also called equities, are part ownership in a company. So it's always kind of nice to have stocks because it's owning part of a company. So as you see that company succeed, right, and its stock price goes up, you get to participate with it. So I always like to tell people, like, you know, you can always start buying stocks in things that you buy. If you buy Nikes, buy Nike stock, right? We all got an iPhone, and everybody probably should have some Apple stock then, right? So that's one place to kind of start with some of the stocks. And then other things that you can invest in could be real estate, oil, gas, commodities. Those are a little bit different, but you got real estate and some other just alternative investments. So those are things that you can invest in, but let's stop really quickly to talk about, you know, inflation. So I'm sure if you've been looking at any finance news, that's been a big concern, inflation. But also if you've been in the grocery store, right? I mean, we all know that since the pandemic, prices have gone up quite drastically, right? And this is one of the main reasons why we want to invest, because the price of goods is going to go up over time. It's just how the life we live, right? Typically, it's going to be more so at like a 3% rate, has been a little bit higher since the pandemic. That being said, if you take $1,000, stuff it underneath your mattress, you wait a year, you go take that $1,000 out, and you want to go buy $1,000 worth of goods, right? What $1,000 gets you this year and what it got you last year is going to be different. You virtually probably only have about $970 of purchasing power at that point. right? And so this is, again, just one of the reasons we want to put that money to work. We want to put it to work, you know what I mean? And making sure that it's working appropriately. That doesn't mean you have to take on the most risk as, you know, somebody who is, call it a 20-year-old. And that doesn't mean you have to be as conservative as somebody who may be in retirement, right? But taking on appropriate risk is definitely, you know, something that everybody should kind of look into. So we're going to talk about real estate ownership, and then I'm going to wrap it up with insurance as an asset. Real estate ownership. Let me just go into benefits of real estate ownership. So one of the main benefits of real estate ownership is the fact that, you know, the way that you can transfer wealth with it, right? I mean, you talk about a home going to somebody. It's just a huge way to transfer wealth. And if you really look at how wealth was built in the United States of America, and if you think about that graph that I was showing you earlier, it's a lot of it has to deal with real estate. So I think it's really key for the Black community to, you know, buy as much real estate as possible, whether that's just a personal primary home, whether you want to look into rental properties, things of that nature. I just think that it's a good investment for people to look into, you know, under guidelines and you know, circumstances, and doing your own research. Secondly, the leverage. So when we talk about leverage, really what I mean by that, right? If you had, you know, we'll call it $20,000, and you said, hey, I want to go buy some stocks, you would get $20,000 worth of stock, right? If you had $20,000 and said, hey, I want to buy a $100,000 home, you could do that. You could use the leverage, the loan of a mortgage, right? Put $20,000 down, 20%, and buy a $100,000 home. So you actually now don't fully own yet, but you have control of a $100,000 asset, right? And so the leverage is just a key part of why real estate ownership is very beneficial. You know, you have the opportunity to build equity, and I think equity will just give you options. And then the tax advantages as well of real estate, and tax advantages of transferring that real estate to, you know, your future generations is just some other benefits of real estate. Types of mortgages, I'm going to skip, or I'll cover really briefly, but, you know, you have your fixed rate, which is typical, 15 or 30 years. And then you have your adjustable rate mortgage. I always want to be very careful about those adjustable rate mortgages, right? Because maybe the teaser rate in the beginning is something that you can afford, but once maybe the rates go back to market rate in a few years, that's going to be challenging for you to keep up with. So you always want to be a little bit weary of those. And then lastly, insurance as an asset. So we're in the final stretch. Insurance, you know, people say they like it, some people say they don't, but I just want to discuss a little bit of how some people use insurance in the estate planning process, right? I mean, there are a lot of wealthy people that use basically insurance to kind of cover the cost of their transition. And so basically when they pass, they have that insurance in place, and that cash from the insurance is what they use to pay any and all debts and any funeral expenses, right? Because if your assets are tied up in stocks, bonds, real estate, you may have ample money, but you may not want to sell stocks, bonds, real estate, incur taxes, right? In order to pay for things that I guess inevitably, you know, will happen at some point one day, right? So if you do have the ability to kind of project and think ahead, you may want to look at insurance as an asset to protect some of those assets. But quite frankly, other things that are very important, right? You see on the estate planning side, and we, you know, our community needs to look more into these. A living will, right? Revocable trust, durable power of attorney, who's going to, you know, have the healthcare power of attorney. But living will, I mean, that's the big one. Or I'm sorry, not living will, living trust, revocable trust. That's a big one. Because we always were taught like trust fund babies, like that's for the rich people. And that's how they lie to people, right? They tell you, oh, that's for the rich people. No, that's for everybody, right? Because what a trust will allow you to do is it allows you to package, you know, some assets, whether it be your home, whether it be like your checking account, right? It allow you to package them, and then you determine how that's going to be spent once you pass. So you can say, hey, I want this much to go to my kids. If they're not 18 yet, I don't want them to get the full amount. I want them to wait till they're 21, 25 or so forth, right? It'll allow that money, the assets that you worked hard for, to skip probate when it goes to the kids. So probate's a big deal because you got to go to court. You're going to have to hire a lawyer. It's going to take some time. Once you get the money, you're going to have to pay the lawyer, right? So really, a little bit spending some money on the front end allows your offspring to save time and not have to deal with the hassle, and save money from actually spending money, being in the courts and actually spending, some of their money, dump that money on the lawyers that they had to pay, right? And then lastly, we'll see if this stays for the years to come, but there's a step up in cost basis, which is ridiculous. And long story short, what that really means that is if, let's just say an asset was bought in 1950 at a certain price and we get to 2022, right? Typically when that asset is sold, the appreciation from the actual start date is what you're on the hook for, right? So whatever is appreciated from 1950 till current day, you're on the hook for. The step up in cost basis with the trust allows you to basically say, hey, you didn't purchase it in 1950, you purchased it at the date of death, right? So you almost get a new cost basis. And so the appreciation right from there is what will actually be taxed if you do sell. I know that was a mouthful for anybody that isn't as familiar with these, so definitely maybe follow up with some questions. But all in all, I say that to say is that living trusts are a secret that I think our community needs to get, into a little bit more. They do cost, call it, a few $1,000s, possibly maybe $1,000, maybe a little bit more. There may be some cheaper options, but they're very valuable, and everybody should probably look into it. So with that, I think it just has the different types of life insurance, but I think we're running a little bit low on time. So again, I'm going to wrap up with some of the closing remarks. What we covered today, right? The utility of money, saving and budgeting, balance sheet basics. We skipped credit and FICO. We talked about investment and Rule of 72, real estate ownership, and we touched on estate planning with insurance as an asset. I'm going to flip it back to Alyssa for her to close us out.
Jared, I don't even know what to say. I'm just so grateful. Here you are, a young brother that came to us back to Long Beach Unified School District to share your brilliance and your information. And that's how we grow as a community. I know for some, this is not a typical CAP presentation. It's not necessarily academic, but my soror Rashika shared with me, we need to start thinking about like the next generation. Like I'd like to live till I'm 150, but I don't think I'm going to, right? Yeah. But I'd like to leave something for my daughter and hopefully grandchildren one day. And I know when I was coming up, we didn't have conversations like this. I don't know about you guys, but I know in my home, we didn't have a lot of conversations about financial literacy and generational wealth, and we did fine and all that. But many communities across this country thrive and survive and do well throughout the generations because they have this information. So I believe knowledge is power, and I am grateful to Jared that he is here to share this powerful information with us. Now, I will say, some folks are asking for your PowerPoint, Jared. I don't know, is it copyrighted? Are you willing to share it? Maybe you can share the link with me and I can share it out. We can talk about it later, but I know it's a lot of information, especially if you're not, used to seeing this information. It's a lot. And so what say you, Jared? Would you be willing to share some information with me so I can share it with the folks tomorrow or the next day?
Yeah, for sure. I can send over the presentation.
Yes, thank you so much. I am grateful to each and every one of you. I'm grateful to my colleague, Rebecca Fast, who's helping me out with the Q&A, and Marilyn King, and everybody here from LBUSD, and all the parents and families. This has been an amazing, awesome presentation. We heard from Kim Dalton, HR Director, about the uniform complaint procedures, and we heard from Samantha Flores about all of the amazing dual enrollment programs at LBCC. And now we're finishing up with Jared Grimes, one of Long Beach's finest Wilson graduate. Thanks to all of you. Happy New Year. God bless. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
Thank you.